All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Baltimore Ravens Pro Bowl quarterback Lamar Jackson has had to hear more than his fair share of criticism in regards to his January struggles. Now, heading into this postseason, Jackson was 1-3 in the playoffs, which is something that he's clearly looking to change. And Jackson and the Ravens took a huge step towards eradicating the recent postseason struggles as they dominated the second half today for their 34-10 win over the Houston Texans to advance to the AFC Championship game. It was all about both defenses in the first half of this contest, as after allowing a touchdown early in the second quarter to Jackson and the Ravens, Texans head coach DeMeco Ryans really began to dial up the pressure as the Texans defense started collapsing the pocket on Lamar. And after stopping the Ravens, the Texans got the break that they needed. When Steven Sims returned to punt 67 yards for the touchdown to knock the score at 10 apiece, but a missed opportunity for Houston just prior to the end of the first half, where Kaimi Fairbairn missed a 47-yard field goal that would have given the Texans the 13-10 advantage at the half. And I think they missed an opportunity to seize some momentum off of that. We saw Baltimore get the opening kickoff of the second half. They marched right down the field. They scored a touchdown to make it 17-10, and they simply never looked back after that. I talked about the defenses, and the Ravens defense just continued to harass and make Texans rookie quarterback CJ Stroud uncomfortable all evening long. He was a 19 of 33 passing for a buck 75 with no touchdowns. And credit to this Baltimore defense, which has been on point all season long. They took that Texans running game away. 38 yards on the ground for Houston, while on the flip side for Baltimore, they had 229 yards on the ground. And that was a big difference because the Ravens were able to win the line of scrimmage on both sides of the football. When you look at that offensive line, they got things rolling. And again, with those 229 yards rushing, you're talking about 100 of those coming from Lamar Jackson, 66 more coming from Justice Hill, 40 from Gus Edwards, and 23 coming from the newest Raven in Dalvin Cook. You look at it right now, a big win for the Ravens and a big win for Lamar Jackson as he got his first home playoff win in his career after dropping his first two home playoff games. And I'll tell you like this, the Ravens are now set to host the AFC Championship game next week, whether it's going to be Kansas City or Buffalo that's going to have to make the trip there. But it's the first in franchise history for Baltimore. M&T Bank Stadium is going to be rocking. And for the people of Baltimore, this is the first time that they're going to see an AFC Championship game since January of 1971 when the Baltimore Colts hosted the Oakland Raiders. And of course, it was a who's who of Hall of Famers for both the Raiders and Colts that day on the field at Old Memorial Stadium, the likes of Fred Biletnikoff. You think about Gene Upshaw. You think about John Unitas, Mike Curtis, who's not a Hall of Famer, but still a Baltimore legend, Bubba Smith, and we could just go right down the list. But nonetheless, this is a big moment for the modern day Ravens. And you think about the AFC Championship game, the Ravens had never lost when they got there. Of course, their two AFC Championship games as the franchise were on the road, beating the Raiders in January of 2001, and then going back to January of 2013 when they knocked off the New England Patriots. But on the flip side for the Texans, this is definitely and was definitely a learning moment for head coach DeMeco Ryans and his young Texans, who did take big strides this year. I mean, you think about it. Houston has been one of the worst teams in the NFL in recent years, but it looks like they finally got things turned in the right direction. You got yourself a solid head coach in DeMeco Ryans. I love what the Texans did, of course, in the first round of the draft, trading up to take Will Anderson Jr. third overall, and then of course using the second overall pick on quarterback CJ Stroud, who more than likely is going to be the NFL's offensive rookie of the year. But it's one of those, like I said, this is a building and learning moment for the Texans. They began their season in Baltimore with a loss against the Ravens, and unfortunately for them, it finishes in Baltimore with a loss against the Ravens. And these are the teams that if you're the Texans, that you're going to need to beat in order to take that next step. A lot of penalties today for Houston, 11 of them for 70 yards. But like I said, they've got to try to find a way to build off of this. We know that they have themselves a legit franchise quarterback now in CJ Stroud. This young man is the real deal. And now it's time for Houston to continue to build around him, especially while he's on the cheap with his rookie deal. But nonetheless, the expectations were not there this season for the Texans. So it's going to be a little bit tougher next season because people have seen what they can do. And now, you know what? You're really going to have to try to find a way to elevate your game. But I think this Texans organization is capable of it. But on the flip side for the Baltimore Ravens, and this is who it's all about today, this team simply clicked on all cylinders. And we've seen this throughout the season. Baltimore has had a knack for beating the better teams. And not only uh, beating the better teams, it's one of those where they just go out there and dominate. And this is a time of the year when you want to be playing your best football. And the Ravens are doing that. In the last couple of years, we've seen the Ravens, not click on all cylinders come January. And of course, because of that, they were sent home. This time around, a different story. And this Ravens team, after watching them today, they have a different feel to them. TFX, what's going on? You're saying, shouldn't you be watching the NFC game right now? True indeed, took a break from it for a quick moment. I got it recorded. I will catch up. I know it's a tight game at the half between the Niners and the Packers. But nonetheless, again, like I said before, for Baltimore, M&T Bank Stadium next Sunday afternoon is going to be rocking. And you think about it, so many disappointments for Lamar Jackson in the postseason. John Harbaugh, the Ravens head coach, he's been there before. He's tasted championship gold, but he's been right alongside Lamar Jackson with those disappointments. The Ravens have a better roster this season, and right now, they are looking like the team to beat. I'll tell you like this. I'll go as far as saying like this because Baltimore is expected to get Mark Andrews back next week, and he's been a big part of their offense over the last couple of years. So if they get him back next week, and the way that the Ravens are playing right now, barring something unforeseen, I'll go as far as to say it right now. Regardless of whether it's Buffalo or Kansas City, I don't see either one of them going to Baltimore and knocking off this team. The Ravens, again, they flexed their muscles today. They showed everyone that they are the real deal. And now they're just 60 football minutes away from Vegas and Super Bowl number 58. So, folks, that's going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out, drop a line, and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.